Welcome to Problem Solve, the podcast where me and a special co-host solve all your problems really easily, probably.
Problems? Are you kidding me? I don't have any problems. Okay, I might have a few, but I can work on them with you. Come on.
Hello, Julie Jeske.
Hello, Jeff Gunther.
How you doing?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm happy to have you at my house.
I know. It's so magical here.
I know, isn't it?
It's pretty amazing. This space is so great.
Thank you. And I feel like podcast episodes are better in person, so I'm glad we can do this
It's
together.
like taking me back in time, though, to what was your first podcast? Say more about that?
Say more about that.
Yes. Years ago. Like this vibe is taking me back there.
Yeah. And we also did Swoon at a table, the first year of Swoon or something.
Yeah.
So it's got those vibes.
I know.
Yeah,
Nostalgia.
so cute. You're here
Yes.
because you're going to help me answer some listener questions.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So excited. You're my favorite person to do this with.
Do you hear that, world? Everybody.
Right? Julie Jeske's my
I'm the
favorite.
favorite. Yes.
The all-time favorite.
Yay. Yes.
But first, can you introduce yourself to everybody? Reintroduce yourself to people? Yeah. Who are you?
I'm Julie Jeske. I am a sex and relationship therapist in Portland. And I see a lot of individuals and couples around sex, relationships, intimacy, and then pleasures, kind of my jam. Trying to help people experience more pleasure in a world that, let's be honest, it's hard to focus on pleasure right now when things are so awful, you know? And so finding the both and of being there, being supportive, showing up for the world around us, not turning away from the hard stuff, and also not denying our pleasure at the same time. It's pretty complex, I think.
Yeah. And like you're saying, the world is like on fire in certain places. And I imagine that you can feel guilty sometimes being like, well, I'm going to focus on pleasure, or I want to make money, or whatever it is. Well, like horrible things
people are dying. Yeah. It's really hard. And I think often, I was thinking about this a lot earlier today, a lot of people do one or the other, right? They ignore the hard stuff, the sad stuff, the tragedy, the genocide, the hurricanes, all of the stuff, right? Heartbreak, whatever. And just focus, they spiritually bypass and just focus on pleasure, or they deny pleasure, right? And just feel guilty about the pleasure and just feel the bad, or they like secretly do pleasure. And then they like, there's shame around it then, you know, they like go somewhere lovely, but then they don't post about it because they don't want people to judge them for having pleasure. Like, it is so hard to have an honest relationship with joy and pleasure and pain and hardship, I think. And that's a lot of what my work is about. Feeling it all.
It's heavy.
It is. Yeah.
But you have a retreat next year, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Pleasure. Yeah. I'm so excited. So I've led international retreats and usually go to Italy. And next year, my dear friend and co-facilitator, Nikki Weaver, and I are going to Bali. And the themes of our retreat it's always vibrant living. And that's part of, so Nikki and I met when we were pregnant, and we each had, my dad was dying. Her mom had already died. So like in our first conversation, it was life and death and love and sex and pleasure and pain and all of the things. And so we bring that energy, the vibrant living, which means like feeling it all, to gorgeous places in the world, and help women have a week where they get to just focus on themselves, connection, community building, pleasure, and then go back and bring that energy to their everyday lives. Super juicy and yummy.
It always sounds really super juicy and yummy whenever you go. And when you come back, you always seem like so energized and liberated and in your body. Yeah. Where can people sign up for that class or get more info?
At my website, juliejeske.com/retreats. You'll find it.
Okay. We'll link in the show notes. Yeah. Highly recommend. Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
Do you want to get to some questions?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. Here we go.
My boyfriend wants me to initiate sex more, but I am extremely awkward and uncomfortable, and I basically talk myself out of it before I can even initiate. help. Please help. Because I'd like to. I want to. I just manage to talk myself right out of it and go to bed instead.
So cute.
I've been there where I'm just like, I'm going to go to bed instead.
I'm going to go to bed instead.
Yeah. Because you could either like initiate and it can be awkward or it can be vulnerable. You can put yourself out there. You might get rejected.
Right.
It could be a whole thing, or you could go to sleep.
Right. It's choosing comfort over the scary stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think anytime we don't have experience doing something, it feels uncomfortable and awkward, you know? And so what's hard about learning a new behavior, whether it's an initiation or anything else in our lives, is it's going to take practice. And we want to be really good at sex stuff, you know? Like we want to feel so empowered, competent, sexy, like in our bodies with sex stuff, and doing something new around sex doesn't usually feel like that. You know, we feel like, I can feel it in my body, right?
Yeah.
Like all of that like squishy, squiggly, like awkward stuff. And so it's going to require some practice.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
I know. I'm sorry.
It's making me think about the way I initiate. And I feel like the way I initiate is very Capricorn.
Oh, tell me, as a fellow Capricorn,
Right?
I'd love to get some tips on this.
But you're like a real sexy Capricorn.
I know. My friend Pixie calls me she's like, you're a goaty, a horny goaty Capricorn. It's true. Yeah.
What's your like moon and rising?
Oh yeah. So my rising is Gemini. I know you're going to make fun of me but it's why I like talking and I'm such a good therapist, right? My moon is Sagittarius. So there's fire, but I also have a ton of Scorpio. Like my Venus is in Scorpio. Like I have a bunch of that energy.
Yeah. So I'm like, my sun is in Capricorn, and then I'm a Taurus rising and a Virgo moon. So it's just like earth into earth into earth. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways.
Big old stick in the mud.
Yeah. There's like two ways that I initiate.
Okay, I want to hear.
Which is, you know, we're eating lunch or I'm just texting. I'm like, so are we going to do sex tonight? Like, are we going to do it or are we not going to do it? Like, is that, and that's me initiating.
Okay.
Or we're together. And I'm like, do you want to go upstairs?
Yeah.
Which is like, let's go.
Yeah.
But they're both like, none of those are
practical.
sexy. They're very
they're practical initiations, which is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
And but you know, I've gotten feedback of like, why not just like make a move?
Right.
Why not just make out with me?
Yeah.
Instead of like, but there's something safe almost.
It is safe.
I mean, like, can we schedule this? Do you want to go upstairs? There's like, if I say, do you want to go upstairs? You can say no, and I can take that a little bit more. But if I'm like kissing you and then like starting to make this sort of move energetically and you don't want to do it. Right. So I'm also kind of protecting myself.
If you show up in your lingerie feeling all sexy, right? And you hear no, that feels like a bigger rejection than just the verbal, do you want to go do this thing? Yeah.
So I'm interested in what her partner, like how do they want initiation to be initiated? Yeah. Can it just be like, hey, do you want to have sex?
Can we do this thing?
Yeah. Or is it like a whole production of I've lit candles, I've put on the music, and then, you know. So just like I want that info. I'm not saying you have to do it that way, but that's good information to have.
Yeah. Ask the asker. What kind of initiation are you wanting? Do you just want me to kiss you? Because maybe I can do that. Do you want me to say something? Do you want me to create an experience for you? Right? Yeah. There are so many different ways we initiate. Yeah. And I think that's really important for anyone listening to hear is that if you want to start something new, you pick the easiest way to start, right? Or you pick the way you know the other person's going to respond well. And I think the fact that this is a request you're getting, I don't want to diminish or take away the angst and anxiety you're feeling about it, but the stakes are low. Because you have like a warm audience. You have someone who's wanting this, right? And so you doing it is going to, it's going to be received better than someone who's just like, I have no idea what's going to happen if I initiate right now, right? Sometimes that can calm our nervous systems a little bit to remind ourselves the stakes aren't low in this particular situation.
Yeah, that's a really good thing to keep in mind. you're being requested to do initiation. He's probably waiting for it, ready for it, excited about it.
Yeah.
And then, like, do you just ask yourself, what is the most comfortable thing I can do in order to move towards that sexy place?
I think so. I mean, I also, for this person in particular, what I might recommend is doing a version of what you're talking about, Jeff, which is like almost like pre-initiation. Like, are we going to do this thing later? So like in the middle of the day, when you're not thinking about how easy it is to go to sleep, and maybe you're feeling a little more fiery energy or a little more confident or a little more just like feeling yourself in general, send a text. Hey, I'm just thinking about you and how hot you are. And I cannot wait to take you to bed tonight. So then you're like, you're putting yourself on the hook a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, you're setting the intention for yourself that you're going to do this thing, and you can't kind of like wimp out at the last minute, right? And you're setting the intention with your partner so that they're going to be available to be initiated with as well. And so I think that like, and doing it over text or something can feel a little less like, I'm like, what are the ways we can be a little less vulnerable? Writing it down, leave a note in the mirror. I'm going to fuck you tonight in lipstick on the mirror, you know, like whatever you need to do to set the stage earlier. And then you may feel nerves about it, but it's like you've gotten the initiation out of the way. If you think about it, that was the initiation. Now you just have to show up and do sex, which is something you do whenever your partner initiates. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, creating that sort of sexual currency throughout the day, warming each other up a little bit in whatever way feels. And yeah, I agree. Text is a really fun, easy way to do that. And it could just be, I'm thinking of you. Right? Yeah. Or it can be like, I can't wait for that hard cock to be pressed up against my body. Like whatever. So the juices are flowing, so it doesn't feel like it's not such a cold opening or whatever. The teasing and the playfulness and the flirtiness. Smart.
And the more people, anyone who's listening can do that in general. I call it the erotic fire. Keeping that fire going is so much easier to initiate from than when the fire goes out completely. So a lot of people come to work with me when sex has been put on the back burner for a lot of really good reasons sometimes, but then it's stayed on the back burner, right? And they're like, how do we get back into that groove? How do we get back into that connection? And you are starting from a cold, starting a cold engine, starting from a cold place. It's so much harder if we can be connecting in affectionate, sweet, flirtatious, playful ways throughout our day. Initiation is not nearly as difficult in those places.
Yeah. I also wonder if there's just sort of a slow build of anxiety that comes from a bit of pressure as you get closer towards we're going to bed tonight. And when we both go into the bed tonight, that's when sex is supposed to happen. And now there's like a lot of pressure and expectation, whatever.
Right.
And now you're just sort of collapsing underneath it all, you know? So maybe don't wait until the very last moment of the day or evening, and you can be sexy before dinner or something.
Yeah. There is that, the more we're like, oh, I need to do this thing. And it just weighs on us sometimes, whatever the thing is, right? So sometimes doing it as soon as you think about it takes that pressure away for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Any other tips for them? I think we solved their problem.
I think so. Now, if you listen and you're like, but how do I initiate in a different kind of way, call back and let us know. And then we'll give you, we can create some fun scenarios for you if that would be helpful.
Totally. Okay, next question.
Hi, Jeff. I've been a long time listener of all your podcasts. I started listening from This Changes Everything. And my question is, how do you choose yourself? And by that I mean, right now I'm in a relationship and I feel like I could be happier, but it's not awful, but it's not the best. So I feel like that makes it a little harder to leave, and I have a lot of anxiety surrounding it. So I was wondering what you thought about that in general and how to get yourself to leave a situation that isn't mostly bad, but it also isn't mostly good. Thank you.
Do you want to just give her the like squeeziest, hardest hug in the world? Like just to sort of her nervous system, even when she was like, it just felt like anxious and upsetting. Yeah.
And that like, it's not that good, but it's not that bad, but it could be better, but it's not, that place. They call it the relationship that's too good to leave, too hard to stay, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people feel that, and I think that so many of us want a really good reason to leave a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
We want to like be justified. He was abusive. She stole my money. Like we want the things.
She stole my money. What relationships have you been in?
I'm trying to think of like the big, it's like people will say to me, I mean, I don't know about you, Jeff, but so many people come to me and be like, well, he didn't hit me. And I'm like, that's your bar for leaving a relationship? That's your bar, right?
Yeah. These deal breakers of like, obviously I should leave. I don't even have to like ruminate about it. All my friends will of course support me.
Will understand.
Everyone will understand. And you can also, you have the benefit of like being angry, which can really like sort of move you through grief or make these decisions because you're so upset, right? So it gives you that energy or motivation sometimes. But unfortunately, this caller is not in one of those relationships. And I think, we've been there before, right?
Totally.
And I feel like most of the time, this is how it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting that she's calling and she's saying, like, how do I choose myself in that, like, it seems like I want to choose myself by leaving so I can leave, right?
That's what it sounds like.
That's what it sounds like, too.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of, like, you can choose yourself and stay in this relationship. Like, there's a lot of, the thing about that relational ambivalence is that you can go either way, and we can make a case for staying and making it better, and we can make a case for leaving and feeling better, right? But it sounds like in this specific scenario, there's something about, and maybe I'm connecting dots that aren't there, right? But there's something that is like, if I really loved and cherished myself and felt braver, I would leave this relationship. Like if I felt more confident, if I felt like I deserved what I really want to believe I deserve, if I felt worthy, then I would leave this relationship. Is that a vibe you're getting or no?
That's the vibe I'm getting.
Okay.
Yeah. So I feel like maybe she should just like do low key shitty things to her partner so that he leaves her. I feel like that's where you were going. That's what Julie Jeske, renowned sex therapist of Portland, Oregon, is suggesting. Interesting that that's your take. So how should she sabotage this relationship? Pull away.
Withhold sex.
Withhold all the sex. Yeah, just be really sort of a little kind of chaotic, unpredictable, like put him down and his best friends.
Or say someone else's name when you're having sex.
There you go. Right? That's what you gotta do. Yeah, and then act like you didn't actually say that. So like some gaslight. Yeah.
You're the worst. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
No. Okay.
No.
Okay, so what should she really do?
You want me to give the real answer now that you've given the fake answer?
Yeah. I'll chime in with more good answer stuff, but you can start.
So, I mean, the first place is looking for ways you do choose yourself. It's like when we feel like we're not choosing ourselves in a specific area, it's easy to think we never choose ourselves. And like, look for the places where you do feel worthy, where you are honoring what you're wanting and needing to kind of give yourself a little more confidence that you can do it in this area as well. Something that I'll have folks do sometimes is imagine a person they really love and respect. A lot of the folks that I work with who have kids, I have them, this is kind of a shitty move, but it's like super effective. I'll be like, imagine your kid in this situation. Would you want your child to stay in this relationship? Would you be like, I'm so happy my child has this partner, right? If you don't have children, think about your best friend. Think about your younger self, like your most precious, sweet little version of Jeff that you want to protect in this situation. What would you want him to do? That's what I will ask myself. I use this on myself too, but I have people ask because sometimes we are so good at ignoring our own wants and needs. Sometimes we're so good at, I have a super high tolerance for pain, you know, like I do physically. And sometimes that's emotional too. And I'm like, why am I putting up with this thing? You know, it's because I'm used to powering through sometimes, you know? And so it's like, if I was so tender and loving with myself and treated myself like the precious being I am, what choice would I make right now?
Yeah. That's a great point, because I feel like there is a part of you that does choose yourself, that does really care about yourself, that is advocating for yourself, but you sort of forget about or like lose connection with it when you're around this partner thinking about ending the relationship. All of a sudden you go into like, I shouldn't be doing this. This is good enough. Yada, yada. So if you can connect with that part of you and then act from that place, that could give you a bit of a boost in order to break things off. And there's also like, and we want to like give you permission. You can end a relationship if you just want to fucking end a relationship, right? Like, go ahead and try to ask for what your needs and identify what's missing in this relationship and have a talk with your partner about it. See if you can reach, if they can meet some of these needs, if you can reach some sort of compromise. Like, try the stuff. But we're getting the vibe that maybe you've already done that, you've made your decision, and now it's just sort of like actually ripping the Band-Aid off sort of thing. But we want to give a lot of permission that like you can just break up with somebody because you feel like it, because you're just like, oh, it just isn't a long-term match. I'm not quite getting everything I need. I want to know what it's like to date somebody else who's can meet different needs or something, or can meet more needs, right? That's totally fair. If this is a pattern that's going on for multiple relationships for years or decades or whatever, then let's take a look at it.
Yeah.
Something's going on. But if this is like more one-off situations, then it's okay to end it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. Sometimes we know, it's like sometimes we're like, this isn't right, but we can't even articulate why sometimes, which again, that's hard. Like we want these tangible reasons, and if you are calling Therapy Jeff to ask about this, what you actually want to do. Do you know? Like, you wouldn't be asking the question if you didn't know.
Yeah. So if you break up, you can say, I want to break up. And when they're like, why? You can be like, because I want to, because I'm not feeling it.
Yeah.
And that's good enough.
Yeah.
Right. You already know what you want to do here. So that would be choosing yourself. And you might feel like a little worried about your partner. They're going to be upset or mad or sad, but like they were a whole person before they met you. They'll be a whole person after you. It's going to be fine. They're going to get through it. Yeah. I don't know. Anyways, I stay in these relationships for a long time sometimes. Like that.
That's
so
true. Yeah, you're a good person to be asking this question of, because some people who know you and care about you have seen you stay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I get because there's also like, for me, even if a relationship maybe isn't exactly what I want it to be, one of the things that can keep me in it is like, but they're choosing me and I just want to be chosen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not getting what I really want totally, but this person adores me, So like, and I come from like a past family thing where I'm like, just choose me, mom, so that can really hook me. So it's also, if you have a therapist, talk to your therapist about is what's going on in here that's keeping you hooked.
Right.
And try to, be mindful and thoughtful about.
What are the patterns? Yeah. What is this? What is about this current relationship, and what is about all my other relationships or my early attachments as well?
Exactly. Problem solved.
Hi, Jeff. Sorry in advance for my very thick Irish accent, but my relationship question is, I dated someone, it was perfect, and then some family cultural issues got in the way. He did not want to break up with me, I did not want to break up with him, so it was a very hard breakup, because if it hadn't been for his family, we wouldn't have broken up, but now we're no contact because he's very avoidant and treats me like shit. So my question is moving on, it's been about 6 months and I've recently got a crush on a new guy. And I really like him, but I'm very aware of I'm kind of looking for the Temu version of the guy that got away. And sorry if this is very long. But when I was with this first guy, like everything that was me was things that involved him. Like we were so similar, like we had the same aspirations, the same values, the same music taste, like everything. And it's like I shared my life with somebody, and now that he's not in my life, it feels like my stuff isn't mine. Like my music taste, like some of my favorite songs I can't listen to because they're no longer mine. And so when I'm trying to share my life with someone else, or I'm looking into that, it's like I can't share me. Like I feel like if I'm to going into a new relationship with someone else, that I don't feel like I have my own identity. I feel like I either have to be someone else or discard parts of me so that I don't bring him into the new relationship, or I do bring the parts of me that are authentic into the relationship, but he's there, and it's like I'm kind of living vicariously through someone else, and I don't want to hurt someone else by doing that, and I don't want to use someone else. Yeah, if you could summarize that, that would be great. That would be great. And I really like your page. I'm studying to be a therapist at the moment, and God, yeah, everything that you say, your opinions are correct, and I definitely would like to be on a similar platform as you someday, and you're an inspiration. So thank you for listening if you have so far.
Okay, wow. All right. That was a lot.
Yeah.
There was so much there. I do want to focus first on how she's calling it a perfect relationship.
Yes.
That is that's like a red flag for me to hear. Because like, there's no such thing, right? And it shows that you're probably, the way that you're looking at it, or the way that you experienced it while you were in it, was so idealistic, honeymoony projection. When you're saying that there was like nothing wrong and it was perfect, like you weren't actually dating that person.
Yeah.
You were projecting all over each other.
Yeah.
Right? So you're comparing future relationships to a fantasy
ideal
that doesn't exist and never will exist.
Yeah.
And how, like, we as people, like, this feels like we need to go through a relationship sort of like this, where we idealize someone. We're like, oh my God, this feels like developmentally appropriate, maybe. I don't know where they are developmentally, but it's like, oh, okay, I've idealized people, whether it's in high school or in my 20s. I get it. Yeah. But and then it sort of like gets you all stunted and moving forward, because obviously no one's going to compare.
No one can measure up. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. There's also like so many people will come to me, Jeff, and be like, this relationship's perfect except for this piece. And I'm like, that's a piece of the fucking relationship right there. Right. Like that's the relationship, And
it's
so it's
perfect,
like,
except they don't want to be with me.
Right. It's perfect except they listen to what their family says.
Exactly.
It's perfect except now they treat me like shit because they're avoidant. Like all of those pieces, that's part of the relationship,
Yeah. So let's have like a more realistic, integrated view of what the fuck is going on. So then, me as your therapist, if you were my client, I can be like, now we can have like put everything on the table, and be really thoughtful about what's going on here. But even if this was a client they were coming in, I'd probably be spending a while just like empathizing, understanding, knowing what their emotional experience, because she's in pain.
Right.
And that's really
real.
hard. That's real.
Yeah.
It also feels, I don't want to like infantilize this or whatever, but I also have it felt like I have lost my favorite songs to partners when I was like 21 years old.
Yeah.
Where like, I loved Blink-182 and so did she. And we loved the Enema of the State album and all those songs were our songs, and especially the fourth song. And now I can never listen to it. And I can't share that with like my new partner because it's just pain.
Ours.
And it was something. And so like, it doesn't feel fair. And so that also is like, now as a jaded 43-year-old that has had too many relationships, like I don't even have like the songs of the specialness or whatever, they can feel special in that time,
right?
But I can still hold on to them for if in the future if I want to,
yeah,
in my own way.
Yeah,
but I remember that. I get it. Mm-hmm. So the perfectness, the specialness, it feels like there needs to be like some cord cutting that goes on here. I was thinking of going to some, spiritual, like a psychic or something. They could be like, okay, we need to cut the cords of all the attachments that you have here. But it's also, you can just go to therapy. You don't have to find.
It's just sexier.
Yeah.
Go to a shaman.
Go to a shaman. Do some ayahuasca.
Yeah.
Blow your brain up. Yeah. With ayahuasca. Right. Don't do that though. We're not recommending that. It feels like there's a
letting go that hasn't happened.
Letting go. There's entanglement.
Yes.
And it doesn't feel like you're ready.
It doesn't feel,
to have a real relationship with another person.
Right. Like the reason I think you're talking about the cord cutting, which I love the energetic separation, because if you step into this new relationship, the ghost of this other guy is coming with you. It's like you're in a threesome now, not a sexy one. It's like you've got this other person who's along for the ride, and he's so present that you're looking at the new person and comparing the old one. It's like no one stands a fair chance in that scenario, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So
take some time, right? Get some support.
It's hard. Yeah. I'm just like, cause like, I bet you want to go and move on and be with somebody else.
Right.
Like that's what I'm like, about. Cause it feels like maybe that's going to be the thing that heals you or distracts you or whatever. But it doesn't feel emotionally responsible. Like think about the impact that you're going to have on this person that you're starting to connect with. Like they think that they're just connecting with you. They maybe have no idea that there's a third person, an invisible third person from the past that's already in this relationship. Like that's just not quite cool.
Yeah.
You can tell them about it. You maybe should if you really actually want to be in a relationship with this person, so they can have all the information and have an informed consent of, I'm going to go ahead and get on this risky roller coaster with you. But it just doesn't seem like you're emotionally ready to actually do it.
Yeah, I wish you were here so we could talk about what you've done post breakup for your identity. I hear you lost a big part of you didn't just lose the person in this relationship, you lost a part of yourself, And so normally I don't like normally scratch that, right? But like what I love to see that at post breakup is time to grieve, but then also time to like reintegrate and reclaim and like connect to ourselves before we connect to another person, so that you're showing up maybe with a better sense of who you are and what you're wanting. And what I'm hearing a little bit of is like, I don't really know who I am without this other person, And so there may be some self-identity, personal self-awareness work to be done as well, so that when you show up, you feel more confident about this is me, not this is who I was with this other person, but this is me and this is who you get to be in relationship with, rather than pining for this other version.
Exactly. And you can also start with just sitting down and making a list of why the relationship didn't work out, why it was a bad match. Get away from the perfection, the black and white. It also feels very Romeo and Juliet. Our families wouldn't allow us. It's
epic.
Very epic, very dramatic. And you're getting sucked into that, which is,
we love a story. We love a relationship story, an origin story. It's like star-crossed lovers, right? And reality can't compete with that, you know? And so I think our brains, we love to romanticize or like catastrophize, like we love the extremes. And so finding a way, like Jeff is saying, to be really impeccably honest about what didn't work and about what wasn't great, or at the very least, what made this person human, not some idealized perfection.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So it's, you're going to have to get in touch with some really tough feelings, some sadness, move through it, express it, journal about it, go to therapy about it if you can, talk to your best friends. And then once you kind of feel more whole again, like Julie was talking about, you're still, like, we want you to do some self-work in order to put your identity back together. And then maybe, it doesn't mean that you can't have fun or have casual sex if that feels like
something you can do.
Something
not
you can,
everybody
you might not be able to.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, I had something else to say about this and I can't remember.
He's gonna sing while he thinks about it.
It was brilliant, like it usually is. I can't remember. Fuck.
We'll come back to it if we need to.
Okay. Well, problem solved.
Womp womp. Take some time for yourself. Problem solved.
Hey Jeff, so I am a psychology student, and I plan on getting my master's degree and going on and being a clinical counselor one day. But I noticed that in my relationship, my partner gets frustrated with me sometimes because he feels like I'm therapizing him or psychoanalyzing him. And genuinely, it's coming from a place of just trying to help him and help him understand himself and give advice when he's upset. But it seems to make him more upset when I do that. So I'm wondering if you have any advice on how to kind of take that psychology hat off when you're dealing with personal relationships so that you don't end up pushing them further away. Any advice would be great. Thanks.
I love her because she reminds me of me when I was that age. When I was a therapist student, I was like, "Oh my God, all of these tools!
Let me fix you."
Yes, I want to fix you. I want to practice on you.
I'm help you.
Yeah, seeing the world differently. This is how we can have a healthy relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
And
it's hard to just like calm that shit down. I think that the caller's partner just needs to fucking deal with that. You chose to date a psychology student. This is what you fucking get.
Oh my God.
Right? No, Julie. I'm going to give you a tool that I think you might have already heard about this, but you might love it if you haven't heard of it. Okay.
I'm ready.
Okay. So if your partner is feeling feelings and is upset and they're stressed and you want to support them, you can ask these 5 things. Do you want to be helped? Do you want to be heard? Do you want to be hugged? Do you want to be humped?
I have not heard
or are you hungry?
That's so good. Be humped or are you hungry? Those are ones I haven't heard as part of this.
Those are added on now.
Okay. So
humped
great.
and hungry. Because I think a lot of times it might be let's hump.
Yeah.
That's a really good way to distract. It's a really good way to regulate my system. It feels hot and sexy. It's a way to connect, right? And also sometimes I just need a pizza or something. Need a Snickers bar or what? I just need like food in my belly, right?
Yeah.
So if you give them all those options, then they get to choose, and then you know exactly how to be there for them.
And you get to feel like you're wearing your therapist hat because it's hard to ask those questions when someone you care about is upset, and what you really want to do is make them not upset anymore, right? It's like the impulse to fix usually comes from a loving place. Although I heard something recently that was like, when people try to fix, what they're really doing is to try to stop people from feeling.
Oh, right.
Ooh, right? And so in those moments, like I think about, when I'm most upset, someone trying to tell me how I could do it differently doesn't usually go over very well. It feels like judgment rather than support typically,
But if they just did it differently, you know what I mean? If they just did it the way that I do it, their life would be perfect. The right way. Exactly. That is legit hard to keep inside when you're like, well, if you just fucking quit your goddamn job, or if you just fucking stood up to your fucking mother, right? Like, there's things that they can do. And as a therapist, we want to sometimes react that way with our clients.
Oh, totally.
All the time. If you just fucking did this.
You just left this relationship.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But they're on a journey, and we are going to be on that journey with them. And we're going to maybe do little nudges here and there, but hopefully they're going to be the ones that come to that conclusion themselves. And, you know.
Yep.
So most of the time, would you say that most of the time your partner or your friend or whoever's feeling their feelings, would you feel like most of the time they just want to be heard?
Most of the time, yes.
Yeah,
most of the time.
Yeah.
And I would raise that to heard and empathized with.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it makes sense you feel that way, or, oh yeah, totally, like I would feel that way too, or right? Rather than trying to redirect or shift most of the time. Every once in a while it's a little bit different, but yeah.
And also, if that's the case and you want to instead solve their problem, you have to not do that, which would then make you feel helpless.
Yeah.
And then you have to, so sometimes when you're just like, just fucking do this, you're soothing your own anxiety because you feel anxious because you're not feeling like you're helping them. You feel anxious because you're frustrated with their rut that they're in, that they're talking about over and over again.
Right.
And so it's really like you're actually trying to take care of your own uncomfortable. By managing them, you manage yourself. And that's not where you want to be coming from when you're,
Can I take us in a tiny bit different direction?
Let's do it.
So in partnership, right? I see, because a lot of my work is around sex, where I see people start to get in a lot of trouble around sexual intimacy is when one person is acting like the therapist, the parent, the manager of the relationship. And then the other person is the child, the client, or the employee, right? Like, there's a power imbalance that happens when we're no longer mutually supporting each other, but one person has it all figured out and is trying to like direct how things go, you know? And so I just always like to caution against that, because it's so de-eroticizing, you know? And so being aware of those places, not just where a partner is saying like, I don't want you to therapize me, but like where I might be therapizing someone. Like, I like to turn it back on like the self-awareness of, where do I think I have this all figured out? Because that's a problem to think that I've got someone else's life all figured out. You know, it's like, I'm the oldest of 5 kids. I love to think I've got everything figured out. And years ago, a therapist said to me, who are you to deny her from her path? When I was like frustrated about how someone kept making these choices over and over again, right? And so that's something I say to myself. And in relationship where I see someone who's over functioning, which this person might be doing as their little sweet therapist self, and then the other person under functioning, I always like to recommend getting another person involved, because it's like you're saying, you know, you're kind of like playfully saying, Jeff, like maybe the guy is doing it all wrong and she knows what she's talking about. Hearing it from a third party will preserve the connection in your relationship. Will not, like, hearing it from a third party might give you the pat on the back of like, yep, I knew exactly what I was talking about, and not disempower your partner from the connection the two of you seek to have.
Wow. That was really good.
That
was really good. Good job, Julie. Yeah. Because you're right. Like, if someone's being the mom and the other one's being the child, like you're saying, it's not sexy.
It's not sexy.
It's not attractive. Neither of you want to relate to each other like that.
Right.
If that continues to be the paradigm, the power dynamic is all fucked up, and it's going to cause a whole bunch of shit.
Right.
Resentment and anger and frustration and contempt and annoyance.
Control.
Yeah. All of that shit. So trying to do your best to continue to be peers and then bringing in a third party therapist, whatever, in order to be that, actual therapist that you're paying someone to be instead of stepping into it yourself. Yeah.
And if that's not an option, you know, like, not everybody can find a therapist, not even can find a great therapist, you know, then handling the upset in the moment by being supportive and listening and empathizing. And then later, when no one's activated and no one's upset, saying something like, hey, I'm noticing a pattern that keeps happening that I think is contributing to your unhappiness. are you open to us talking about it? You know, it's like, I want a partner who's going to help me grow, you know, like I want to be in relationship with people who are willing to, call me out on my shit, right? I don't want them to do it when I'm upset, probably. You know? Being told to calm down never works, right? Yeah. And so it is nuanced, right? And sometimes it is about timing as well.
Perfect.
Okay. Problem solved.
Problem solved.
You were going to do it with your voice. Oh, no. We are no longer attuned to each other.
Oh, no. Well, if you love Julie just as much as I love Julie, there's lots of Julie episodes on Problem Solved. There's also a whole 200 episodes
of
where
Swoon.
you can get Julie and our friend Gina and me sometimes on those episodes. I will definitely have you coming back. And check out her retreat. The link is in the show notes. Thanks for being on, Julie.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.